So my name is Dave Kawula. I am one of the conference co-chairs of the Tech Mentor and the Live 360 series of conferences. I have been doing this for quite a few years now, and right now I think I'm coming up on, I don't want to date myself, pretty close to 30 years in IT. So I love these conferences. I love to mingle with my fellow attendees, and hey, I always find a new way to learn a couple new things at each of these conferences. So what really makes this conference stand out compared to other tech conferences would easily be the ease of interaction with the speakers and the other attendees. There's a lot of really big tech conferences where you're going to get tens of thousands of attendees, and you just feel like you're just a number at one of those conferences. For me, Tech Mentor specifically, we all feel like family. And so the nice thing is that you're going to meet fellow attendees and speakers that are probably going through similar issues that you're facing in your day-to-day job working in IT, and you're going to be able to get the answers that you need right now at this conference. One of the big focus areas for myself delivering these presentations is a reoccurring theme, which is back to basics. Because I think that we've taken it for granted in IT over the years that it's the same people, same individuals that are coming to these conferences, and the complexity doesn't need to keep adding on top of one another. So what I've found, especially over the last 3 to 4 years, is that we have a lot of individuals that are coming specifically to the Tech Mentor and Cybersecurity Live conferences that are fairly new to IT. And so these basics, the fundamentals, have become extremely popular. I look back a couple of years ago, myself and Crystal, fellow colleague, um, we delivered a fundamentals of Active Directory session, and it was packed. There wasn't a seat in the house, and so that really hit home for us that we need to just bring back some of the basics, whether it's PowerShell, whether it's Active Directory, whether it's DNS, or even some fundamentals of cybersecurity. And so these are some of our most popular sessions that we have now. So that's kind of my personal reoccurring theme, is just to make sure that everyone has those fundamental skill sets. And it's really interesting, Gladys, because we have people that are sitting in these sessions that are seasoned professionals, and they love setting these because they need to go back to their teams and deliver the same type of knowledge back to their teams as well. And they're just looking for a different perspective on delivering some of these topics. So, this is going back to one of the answers I had to one of the previous questions, which was going back to the basics. For example, especially from a cybersecurity perspective, one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to try to put in defense mechanisms to ensure that we can try to stop the bad guys, the threat actors, from getting into our infrastructure and doing nefarious things. Well, it's pretty hard to defend if we don't understand how they're getting in the first place. And so this was the idea behind this red teaming and blue teaming course that Emil and I put together. We actually wrote a book around this as well too. And so the first half is basically showing some of the attack techniques that threat actors could use, or even some techniques that pen testers would come in and use to see how vulnerable your systems are. And then the second half of it is, okay, now let's defend. Now let's actually lock this down and let's see how the defenses hold when we try the same levels of attacks. Can you still be sneaky? You're getting caught? Are there traces that are left behind? How easy is it to actually stop them dead in their tracks? Does it stop them dead in their tracks? So that was really the context behind this one. So a person doesn't need to be an expert in cybersecurity to sit this particular workshop that we're doing. Our goal of this was to make sure that we're leveling up the skill sets so that when you see a particular event that gets triggered inside of Microsoft Defender XDR, is this important? Do we need to react to this? And what's the next steps beyond that? And so this course has been very, very popular. We've delivered it a few times over the course of the year, and so that's one of the reasons we decided to add it into the Cybersecurity Live conference. So this one here actually is kind of from a little bit of a personal note. We've had some health issues inside of our family. Unfortunately, my mom ended up getting sick this year. And so for the first time, I can just kind of speak from like my personal perspective here, is that, I have a very great appreciation for what individuals had to go through, not only through the COVID-19 crisis, where, individuals on the team were, getting sick and health wasn't great. But now all of a sudden, I wasn't available for my team anymore. I'm one of the top resources for my team. And so what happened is I had to rethink the way that I was working and find ways that I could take and document the tasks that I was doing, be able to hand off some of those things where I didn't think it was very easy to hand off. And so for me, just I'm at the age where, these are some of the things you've got to think about. And so that one there was pretty unique for me to have to go through this year, where I wasn't just readily available. And I got to thinking a little bit about other individuals. A lot of other individuals could be going through, similar issues. And I think it's most important to make sure that we have the ability to set ourselves up with backup, because there could always be an unforeseen situation where you might not be able to come into the office and you might not be able to answer the phone, and the business still needs to carry on. And having that actually introduces a layer of job security for you, where you're not the single point of failure for the organization. Diversifying our skill sets is really key to ensuring that we can maintain our job security today. So, for example, everyone knows that AI is come and it's everywhere, and that's one of the big things. Is it coming for our jobs? Well, I think it's one of those things that you just kind of have to embrace, and so that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to in November for the conference, is the ability to actually go step outside of traditional IT. And we actually have some AI courses, sessions, tracks, workshops, just to learn as much as I can about this, because I think that for seasoned IT professionals, it's great because it's almost like we have an assistant in our back pocket. And for folks that are newer to IT, what a great way to just try to do some research surrounding a particular topic. So I think we have to kind of take off our tunnel vision that we might have surrounding our job or our silo, and just understand that there's bigger pieces. And the other thing I really recommend as well is that, specifically as an IT pro, I'll use the database example. Well, we might build the infrastructure that supports and houses the databases that the developers might use, but having an understanding as to how those databases get put together and the glue behind them is very important. It helps us do our jobs better. And the same thing, I always encourage my fellow IT pros, always try to sit at least one or two of the development sessions, so you at least get an idea as to the new stuff that's coming down the pipe, because could be a new way that we're deploying web servers on containers, or we've got a new way of structuring some code that's better than before. But at the end of the day, that's still going to run on infrastructure. And so for us as IT pros, we having that better understanding, comprehensive understanding, not necessarily being the expert developer, but being able to at least carry on a conversation, is extremely key. And I've actually made a living over my 30 years being able to bridge the gap between the IT professionals and the developers, so we can all sit at a table and kind of decipher, what's happening there. So I would highly encourage attendees to just step outside their comfort zone and check out some of the other tracks. It's a fantastic conference with so many different tracks at Live 360. For me, right now, uh, my world is very immersed in cybersecurity and protecting against things that go bump in the night. And so there's a particular session that a colleague of mine, Emil Cabot, is going to be delivering on configuring conditional access to protect against Microsoft and Office 365. That one there is going to be really key, because inside of my consulting business, this is something that we're getting asked for inside of almost every single engagement: is how do we tighten up the country blocking rules? How do we ensure that multi-factor authentication is enabled? What's the best way to configure the break glass accounts for our Office 365 tenants and stuff like that? And so those are going to be some of the things that are going to be covered in that session. I'm really looking forward to that one. I think just the pace that things are coming at us in IT it seems overwhelming at times for my fellow colleagues and myself. There's just so much that's coming down the pipe. And for us to stay apprised and in tune of all of that is nearly impossible. So, taking the opportunity to well, and just look at how important this has become. We added a separate track specifically for cybersecurity and ransomware live a few years ago, and it just continues to grow in popularity. And when we look at this, having the understanding and just being around fellow colleagues that are going through similar issues that we're seeing, that's really key. So for me, being able to mingle with fellow IT pros, we'll call it, that are converted into cybersecurity professionals, this is really key, because cybersecurity as a whole, as an industry, it wasn't super big 20 years ago, 25 years ago when we first started. It was all about, speeds and feeds and cables and data centers and racking equipment. And then it was, we're going to work through virtualization. So now we want to get rid of all those racks of equipment. And then came the cloud. And unfortunately, then came the COVID-19 world pandemic. And that introduced for me the real entry point to where the bad guys started to take advantage of individuals and organizations, because there was just not a good cybersecurity posture, 10 years ago. And I think organizations are still, unfortunately, a lot of them are still really lagging, and we're playing a catch-up game. And so in playing the catch-up game, trying to make sure that, we understand, where the industry is going, what the proper tools are that we can use to defend, and how we can leverage great partners like Microsoft, who now actually 7, 8 years ago wasn't really a thing in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, and now they're a leader. This, like, Microsoft's like the flagship of security. We used to say back in the day that, you didn't get fired for putting in IBM. Now it's, you're not going to get fired for, looking at Microsoft as a security platform, because, they've done a great job. And all of our sessions that we have at Cybersecurity Live, especially at the Live 360 conference, are focused surrounding Microsoft technologies. So yeah, it's something that is not, I guess, super easy to answer, but just being around those fellow professionals that are going through the same pains that maybe we are, I find is great, because those hallway conversations, they might solve a problem that you've been facing for a very long time. And everybody is so approachable at the conference, from the fellow attendees to the staff to the speakers. I even find that those conversations carry on well after the conference. I give out my business cards, and if somebody has a question they just couldn't think about during the conference, hit me up on social media, hit me up via email. We're more than happy as a base of speakers to continue that conversation with attendees to try to make sure that those questions get answered. set a goal for yourself. And I know we're in IT. A lot of us are introverts. It's not easy to just go say hi to someone. Set a goal. Just try to meet one new person per day. Shake their hand, put your hand out, say hi. I'm Dave. Nice to meet you. What do you do? It's really that simple. And then the conversations carry on from there. I have actually met some of my best friends at the Tech Mentor and Live 360 conferences. I've been doing this a long time, and you just never know who's there, and you start that conversation and just be honest and say, hey, listen, what are some of the pain points that you're going through in your organization? Start that dialogue, and that's really, if you want to get the most out of this conference, mix and mingle with the fellow attendees that are there, the staff, the speakers, and that will really, really amp up what you're going to get out of the conference because the content is there. Everybody sits the sessions. We all try to listen. But like I said, those hallway conversations, maybe that light just went on, that little gold nugget just popped in for you. And wow, I didn't know that that was possible. Should we do this? And you look across the table to your fellow attendees that are sitting there and you just, did you guys do that? Did you guys know that that was happening? And no, yeah, we're going to go back and we're going to have a tabletop exercise. And yeah, we got a lot of things to go back to. And it's so funny, Glass, because we see the same attendees coming back year over year. And so they come back and they say, yeah, we took your list that we had last year and we implemented it. And every year we come back, we get a new list of things to do, which is great. And so that's really unique for this conference and this series. And so yeah, that's my advice. Just open up and try to meet some new folks and make some new friends.